Howdy, Space Rangers. Captain Phoenix here. Today we're doing something a bit different. Today we're doing a theory. Wow, I haven't done that in a while. But not just a theory. Today we're doing a Spider-Man theory. And not just a Spider-Man theory, but today we are doing a Spider-Man PS4 slash 5 theory. Spider-Man, we're going to be talking about Spider-Man PS4 and Spider-Man Miles Morales PS5. And I'm not really going to be talking about the games themselves because I haven't played Spider-Man Miles Morales. I've only played Spider-Man PS4. So I'm not really going to talk about the games or the gameplay itself. I'm going to talk about the story of the games because yes, I am one of those people who play games mainly for the plot. Okay, well, not mainly for the plot. Also, I mean, the gameplay is like a big chunk of that percentage. I'm just saying, I mostly enjoy games for the plot they have. If a new game comes out, I'll basically like watch all the cutscenes before I actually play the game. I'm that kind of person. But I thought I might as well talk about it. So, to give you a quick rundown of my theory, I have to before I give you my theory, I guess I have to give you a quick rundown of what the Spider-Man games are. Spider-Man PS4 follows the story of Peter Parker. This is 8 years after he got his spider powers and he's fighting crime and such. He's a very experienced Spider-Man. However, he's also going through the harshness of life, such as being late to pay the bills, not paying rent, having an aging aunt. He's not doing well with money. His girlfriend broke up with him, and the game just sees him trying to like put his life back together, while at the same time still being Spider-Man. In that game, he faces off against the Sinister Six, but the two main bad guys were Mr. Negative and Dr. Octopus. In the second game, we have Miles Morales, following the 17-year-old boy Miles Morales. This is a year after the original Spider-Man PS4 game. Miles already has his powers. He's been training under Spider-Man, and now that Peter's gone on vacation, Miles has to protect the city. And now the two main threats of this game are, what's this, Simon Kegel, I don't know what his name is, Krieger, yes, I think it was Simon Krieger, leader of Roxxon Industries, and we have his best friend, Finn, who is the Tinkerer, which is surprising because like in the comics and such, the Tinkerer was really not much of a villain. They just built machines. So I'm interested to see that the Tinkerer was actually a big threat in this game because again, I watched the cutscene, so I know all the spoilers. And so my theory comes in not really with the stories of which these games have, but the post-credit scenes they pose. Because in the original Spider-Man PS4 game, we saw that Harry Osborn, Spider-Man's best friend, was supposed to be in Europe, right? However, we find out at the end of the game that he was actually kept in like this Bacta tank kind of thing. It's full of like green liquid and it got venom. And it's got like goo on him, like he's being healed by this weird goo. And his father, Norman Osborn, who is also the mayor of this town, which is crazy. If you're a Spider-Man fan, you know how weird that is to have Norman be the mayor of New York City. Was actually keeping Harry in this tank. And so the same thing happened at the end of this game, Miles Morales. And I'm and a lot of people are wondering, so is this gonna be the plot of Spider-Man 2? I don't know when Spider-Man 2 is coming out. Again, they haven't announced Spider-Man 2, though they did say we're gonna have more Spider-Man games in the future. But they haven't announced Spider-Man 2, and on top of that, they have not given us a title. We don't even know if it will come out on the PS5. Hell, it could be a PS6 game for all we know. But before I get here myself, might as well talk about what the theories and the spoilers are, and that baby just died from whiplash. So, let's continue. Um, so again, at the end of both of these games, we find out that Harry Osborn is trapped in this Bacta tank thing. And for all the Spider-Man fans out there, you know that Harry Osborn used to be Spider-Man's best friend, way back in high school, before Harry supposedly went to Europe for college or something, I'm guessing. And so Harry was missing for a majority of the first Spider-Man game, though he was hinted to a lot. And we find out where he was at the end of the game. He was in the Bacta tank thing with the green goo and the green liquid surrounding him. And so a lot of people are saying, okay, so one of two things is going to happen to Harry. The first thing, so I'm going to be talking about everything from now on in Spider-Man 2 context. Even though the game hasn't been announced, I'm going to be talking about it as if Spider-Man 2 has been announced, but we haven't gotten a trailer yet. So, what I think is going to happen in Spider-Man 2, my personal theory, is that Harry is not going to become the Green Goblin or Venom. Because a lot of people out there are saying Harry's going to become the Green Goblin, Harry's going to become Venom, he's going to fight Spidey. And then they're also saying that Norman Osborn will join in on this action. Some people say that it will be a half and half plan, is that Norman will become the Green Goblin in an attempt to get rid of Spider-Man, and Harry will become Venom, fighting Spider-Man at first, however becoming an ally towards the end of the game when he realizes that his father has some nefarious plan. And some people even go an extra step further to say that Harry might be Venom in the game, but he wouldn't be the main villain of the game. No. Some people think that the main villain of the game would be Dr. Doom from the Fantastic Four. That was not from me. That is from the game theorists. Go check out the channel and whatnot. He gives like a very long video on it. But personally, I don't think that's how it's gonna go. A lot of people have these weird theories about who the new villain in Spider-Man 3 is gonna be, and they're wondering what the next big thing is. And again, Spider-Man has already hit its next big thing, because in the first Spider-Man game, PS4, we already got the Sinister Six. How much bigger can you go from there? Well, a lot of people are saying Doctor Doom, a lot of people say Green Goblin, a lot of people are saying Venom. I think that you can go bigger by having Spider-Man's own ally turn against him. So I know I've been like beating around the bush, but here's like my actual theory. My actual theory is that Harry won't become Venom, or at the very least he'll become Venom, but very temporarily. What do I mean by this? Well, here's what I mean. Hear me out. Here's kind of what I see what's going to happen. I don't know about the whole Doctor Doom joining the Spider-Man 3 game, so I'm not going to talk about that, but I'm going to talk about Harry and Green Goblin. I do think that Norman Osborn will become the Green Goblin. As you see in the first Spider-Man PS4 game, there are a lot of Easter eggs to the Green Goblin stuff, like pumpkin bombs and such. So I do think Norman Osborn could become the Green Goblin. I think that is kind of hands down what's gonna happen, and I do think he's gonna be the main villain of Spider-Man, of Spider-Man 2. Is that Norman Osborn will become the Green Goblin and he'll be the main villain. However, if you've noticed, every Spider-Man game we've gotten so far has at least two villains. The first Spider-Man game, PS4, had Mr. Negative and Dr. Octopus. The second one had the Tinkerer and Simon Krieger. Well, I think the third one is gonna have the Green Goblin. Is gonna have Norman Osborn as the Green Goblin, as the first example. The second example is gonna be Venom, but not in the traditional Venom, because as we know, the traditional Venom is always Eddie Brock. He's the first Venom. He's the Venom who was always in the comics and such. Well, personally, I don't think that Eddie Brock is gonna make an appearance in the Spider-Man universe. For one, I do think it's gonna be a bit too late. And I do think they were more hinty towards Harry, which is why people are saying Harry is going to become the new Venom. And they have good reason for saying this. There was an animated show called The Ultimate Spider-Man, where in that show, instead of it being Eddie Brock, it was Harry Osborn who had the Venom symbiote. And he was Venom for a really long time throughout the series. So it makes sense as to why people think Harry's going to be Venom, considering he even has the black go on him and such. My personal theory is that Harry is going to be Venom, at least for like the first half of the game. When he figures out that his dad is a Green Goblin or has some like nefarious plan up his sleeve, Harry's going to get rid of the symbiote. Venom will need to attach himself to a new host. This new host is none other than Miles Morales. And I think that for the second half of the game, Miles Morales will become Venom. Now, I know you're probably thinking, hey, that's not correct. Venom isn't even in the Miles Morales story. What are you talking about? Oh, you're not even a Spider-Man fan. Do you even Spider-Man, bro? Wait, hear me out. I just said that the original Venom, Eddie Brock, wasn't going to appear in Spider-Man 3. Mostly because everyone thought that it's going to be Harry. Well, I'm thinking, if you can change the character as to who possesses Venom, why can't it be Miles Morales? Because the thing about Spider-Man PS4 and PS5 is that it's not a multiplayer game. It's, what's this? It's not a multiplayer game. It's a single-player game that follows one character. So I'm just thinking, if you can't have it to be a multiplayer game where you can play as either Spider-Man, how the heck are you supposed to play? How the heck are you supposed to have two Spider-Men fighting both Venom and the Green Goblin? My personal theory is that once Harry gets rid of the Venom symbiote that he's carrying around with him, once he figures out that his dad is, I don't know, like evil or whatever, or he just decides to become an ally to Spider-Man, he'll get rid of the Venom symbiote. Venom will need a new host, and this new host will be none other than Miles Morales. And Miles fits the description perfectly. For one, even though it may not seem like it, he's more powerful than the OG Spider-Man. He can turn invisible, and he has freaking Venom Punch, like some electricity thing. And I mean, it's literally called Venom Punch. Venom was literally made for this guy. One. Two, another reason why I think Venom would also like to inhabit Miles Morales is because not only is he more powerful, but he possesses the same attributes as Spider-Man, like he's literally Spider-Man. He's got more powers, he's younger, he's healthier. Venom could literally use Miles' body, and this would also bring more drama to the game. Since Miles is also Peter's friend, it would bring more drama to the game, having Miles, beat Peter, and Peter would have to be like, oh no, I can't hurt my friend, he's Miles Morales, even though he's covered by the Venom symbiote. And throughout the game, we could have Miles also trying to fight the Venom symbiote. So, rundown on my theory. Norman Osborn will become the Green Goblin, main villain of the entire game. That's already a giveaway. But then, his son Harry Osborn will finally break out of the cage and become Venom. Venom will become allies with Spider-Man to fight a common enemy, that being Norman Osborn. And when Harry realizes that he's fighting with, and when Harry switches sides to fight with Spider-Man, he will remove the Venom symbiote. The Venom symbiote will escape and attach itself to Miles Morales because Miles Morales has the perfect body to be a host, and I mean, it's literally Venom Punch. Venom will attach himself to Miles. Miles will become the new Venom, and he will be the guy who's sort of like Norman Osborn's puppet, or at the very least, he will be an antagonistic force to Spider-Man. And now it will be up to Peter Parker and Harry Osborn to defeat Miles Morales, remove the Venom symbiote from him, and all will end well. Again, that's just my personal theory on what I think will happen to Miles, because it's not a multiplayer game. You can't just play as either Miles or Spider-Man. And of course, they have to find an excuse to keep Miles out of the game. In the first game, you couldn't play as both Spider-Man because Miles wasn't Spider-Man in the PS4 version. In PS5, you have both Miles and Peter Parker. However, the way the game made you play only Miles is by having Peter go on vacation. For the third game, how are you going to write Miles out of the story? You can't have him go on vacation. At that point in time, you're using that excuse way too many times. Well, have Miles be Venom. You can't play as both Spider-Man because, again, it's a single-player game. So get rid of one Spider-Man by having him become the villain. Or in future Spider-Man games, they could kill off Peter Parker so that they could make it Miles' game. I don't think they would want to do that because it doesn't make sense from a marketing standpoint. And I'm glad they had him go on vacation in this one. Though it does make me wonder, in future Spider-Man games, how are they going to get rid of Peter Parker if they can't keep saying he's going on vacation every now and again? So it's a bit weird. But that's my theory on what will happen with Miles Morales. It will be a perfect way to write Miles out of the story, but still keep him in the story just from a different perspective and from an area where you don't have to play as him and ruin your whole single-player weird thing. And so that's my personal theory on what will become of the new villains in Spider-Man 2, PS5, PS6? I don't know. Again, they haven't announced the game. These are just my personal theories of what I think will happen. Tell me what you think down below. Comments. I really want to know your opinion. What do you think will happen in the new Spider-Man game? Do you think Venom and Green Goblin will finally show up, or will we be held back by another villain? What did you think of Miles Morales, the video game? I haven't played it yet. Do you think I should play it, or do you think I should just wait until the next one comes out? Thank you so very much for watching, guys. I've been Captain Phoenix. Like, subscribe, comment. Want to know what you guys say. And without further ado, I will see you in another universe. Goodbye, my awesome Starry Rangers.